Hi, it's Reverend Paul Tuttle, and I'm going to introduce somebody who I bet was never annoyed by Jesus, who probably never went hungry because of Jesus, who was never competing with Jesus. I'm talking about the saint that we all know, the Reverend Dr. Bob Harris, former associate pastor here helping us out, but I'm glad to introduce him. Maybe he knows the answer to some of the questions I've had the last couple of days, but he'll speak to you now about his devotion this Friday. Have a good day, everybody.
Logan Eliason writes for Guidepost magazine. I recently read one of his devotionals. At the conclusion, he prayed this prayer: God, help me focus on where you are taking me and not where I have been. God, help me focus on where you are taking me and not where I have been. Wow, I need to pray this prayer 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. I don't know about you, but in my older age, I lament, I grumble, I complain about all the things I can no longer do. My body will not allow me to do some things. I'm physically unable to do what I used to do. I need to change my focus. There's a lot of things that I can do. I need to focus on those things that I can do and look for other things that I can do. St. Pauline of the Marxist missionary nuns served in Peru. She could have focused on the horrors of their situation, all the miserable living conditions. Instead, she focused on the spirit of the Peruvian people, how they rose above adversity, how they met their problems with a positive attitude, how they met their problems even with humor. One of the best stories she writes is about the nuns opening a clinic in a remote, mountainous area. One of the first needs for them was a sanitary facility. So she and the sisters dug a pit. Then they thought about privacy, and they came up with this idea. Catholic Charities ships surplus clothing wrapped in waterproof tarps. They neatly unfurled some of those tarps and nailed them to bamboo stakes that they then put around that latrine area. They were proud of their work. And so the visiting bishop pointed out something very interesting. Printed in very large letters on the side of those tarps were these words: Catholic Relief Services. Catholic Relief Services. Sometimes we think we need relief from a particular situation. However, we probably just need to focus, or rather to change our focus. I still find myself grumbling and saying to myself, I used to mow the lawn in 35 minutes, and now it takes me an hour or more. Upon what should I focus? I still get the lawn mowed, or hope I will when spring gets here, but it does take me longer. I'm retired, so after I finish, I have extra time I need to take a nap. Always, at this age, I have time for a nap. In Philippians chapter 3, the Apostle Paul says, I don't mean to say I have already reached perfection, but I press on to possess that perfection for which Christ Jesus first possessed me. No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on one thing: forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. Our ultimate focus, our ultimate goal, my ultimate focus, my goal, is to live with Jesus Christ today, to live with Jesus Christ tomorrow, and to live with Jesus Christ for all eternity.